So I was keen to make this video for one of our members in Impact who is temporarily in a smaller space where she doesn't have a lot of room behind her, and what is there is actually quite reflective, so it's picking up the lights that she's got in front of her. And so we're just exploring. So we want to have a look in this video at how well Greenscreen works with the OBSBOT Tiny 2 camera, and quite how to set it up actually, what settings there are, and what tools to really get the best out of this. Now, this video came up really as a response to one of our members inside the Impact community, and we were on a call last week, and she was just explaining how she's just getting set up in a new space, a temporary space, where the wall is only about that far behind her. She's actually got sliding doors back there that are reflective, so any lights that she puts in front are going to get picked up and bounce back on that. So we were just discussing the idea of how well a green screen would work, and I said, why don't I set it up and I'll record a video back to her. And the other part of this isn't my usual Sony camera. We're actually using the OBSBOT Tiny 2, as I said at the start. And again, this is a camera that she wants to get initially. And as she progresses up to the Sony, knowing that this will be a useful camera to have later. And what you actually can't see right now is that I'm shooting this through the Elgato prompter. And we'll make a video on that I'll link to at the end. So don't worry about that one for now. So this isn't a OBSBOT Tiny 2 review video. We've already done one of those. In fact, we've done 3 different videos on these OBSBOT cameras showing how to hook them up together, bring them into Ecamm, use them into the Elgato Stream Deck, things like that. And I'll link to all that down in the description. So I'm kind of assuming that watching this, you've potentially got an OBSBOT camera. This is the software over here that you need to get hold of, the OBS Center. And I've got this one camera hooked up in here. And let me just very quickly run you through what you need to be considering if you want to use this OBSBOT camera, in particular with a green screen. Now, the first thing to point out is that you can see this little red button here is turned on. When I click that, that is this video preview. And right at the bottom, I've got this set to 4K. I really encourage you to use 4K on this. We're in landscape. You can see the other settings that we've got on here. One of the main things with green screen is we really need to get a good sharp cutout. That's why I'm particularly interested in testing this camera. Is it up for it? And I got to say, from what I'm seeing on the screen here, that looks super sharp. So we're good with that. But now this OBSBOT Tiny 2, someone's going to be screaming at me going, why on earth are you using that camera? It's a PTZ camera. It's designed to move around, zoom in and out. Yes, we know that. Don't be shooting me down in the comments. But as I mentioned at the start, this customer is wanting to get one of these. So as she progresses up and puts the Sony camera in here, like we teach you in Impact, she's then got a really good second camera that can be used as a PTZ. So that's why we're on this. But we don't want it to be tracking around as we move, else this green screen is we're going to be off the edge of it. And I'll talk about this green screen in a second. So what we need to do is turn off on here. We're on this first tab, the console, and I've turned off tracking. We don't want any tracking. What I can do is to use this controller down here. So you'll see that we've actually, when I come back to wide, this is the room that I'm in. So I've just brought that in because we want to get slightly to the edge of this green screen. And this would be a typical crop that I would have that camera on. And you can use this little joystick to just position yourself in the frame. Just slightly picking up my microphone there. So let me just come in at slightly, there we go. I think that must have been where I had it before. Okay, so that's, you've got it there in front of you. In fact, I can just lock this in and let's call this P0 preset. So I know that I can come back to this one and not get lost on it. When I come onto the image, I'm personally not liking the HDR. I think in this, we again getting this nice sharp image. We're sticking with autofocus. You can see all the settings on here. Not on auto exposure. I'm leaving this locked in on a 50th, and I have pushed up the ISO more than normal because we are coming through this Elgato prompter. And one of the things you'll find is that it definitely does just darken down that image a little bit. But that's totally fine. White balance, I've got this set up for the lighting that I've got in the room here. And then these are just the default settings down here. Normally, and you'll see in that other review video, I've softened it off a bit. But in this, I quite like that contrast and we want to get that edge. So all those settings are there. And then the third tab, I have just taken off of here these gestures because, again, I'm making this video. I don't want to suddenly put my hand up and the camera flash and go, yep, okay, now I'm into tracking mode. So I've turned off all the hand gestures. For what we're doing in this scenario, I don't want it. I also don't want any voice ones. I don't want to suddenly say something that makes this kick in and start tracking me. So we're not using any of the PTZ features at all. I'm just scrolling down that. You can see that. You can pause it. You can copy it if you want to. That's how we've got this dialed in. So it really is just working like a very high quality webcam on 4K coming through. Now, that's the image there in OBSBOT, but what do we do with it? I'm just going to take this off the screen. And if I were to bring, firstly, zoom up, and let's just have a look at a meeting over here. So we could just come straight into Zoom because Zoom does have some ability to cope with green screen backgrounds. And let me just come into video settings first of all, because we do just need to turn on HD. And all of a sudden that has just improved that image. It's not the best, but it's just taken that up. Now, notice down the side here, backgrounds and effects. If I click on this, then we can put in a virtual background. You want to say, I have a green screen. And I'm just trying to see, there it is, the little plus. We can add an image into this. And I'll show you where I got this one from in just a minute. It's an Adobe stock one that I've just pulled off the internet right now, because I don't intend to purchase it, but I'm going to show you the link because if you like this background, you definitely need to go and purchase it. And if I click OK on that, it has now brought that in, and you can see behind me, it's done a reasonable job, but what I always find with Zoom is just this kind of wavy edge that there is to it, and it isn't doing the best version. I don't have an ability in Zoom here to deal with these edges over here where my green screen doesn't go to. All right, so that's kind of it's basic in here, but this is not what I would use. All right, now I can say that because we're on a Mac and I use a program called Ecamm Live. And if you know me or if you've seen this channel, you will see that we've got so much content on here for Ecamm Live. Huge Ecamm fans. Let me just come out of that Zoom meeting there and get rid of that. And what I can do is bring up my Ecamm window. Actually using Ecamm right now to be recording this. So Ecamm will let me have, and I'm also going to turn off this OBSBOT. We don't need to have that open right now. I've used it. We've set everything up that we need to. And this is all I need, my Ecamm window over here. So I've created a scene here in Ecamm, and I've brought myself in. You can see down here, this is what I get. This is the green screen behind me. Now let me just quickly talk about the green screen before I go off and talk about Ecamm Live. And I should just say, if you haven't used Ecamm Live and you're on a Mac, there's a link down below. We can get you 15% off of an Ecamm Live subscription. As I say, I literally go through Ecamm to do any type of video that we do. I couldn't recommend it higher enough. Here we are right now. This is, I've just found on Amazon here, a green screen background. This is literally like an $18 background. So all this is just a sheet that I've got down here. Notice I haven't even needed to iron it. You're going to realize how forgiving Ecamm actually is. You don't want big dark areas on that. I've got my normal regular lighting here in front of me. We haven't had to do anything special for the lighting, but you can just get one of these, look, as cheap as that, $17. This is what my customer's going to do because she's planning on just putting a pole on a ceiling and draping this down when she's doing her videos. But you can see, look, these backdrops here, you get these frames, 40 euros, dollars we're in. I'm not sure what site I'm on. About $40. You can get one of these frames, which is all I'm using right here as a little temporary feature. Yeah, so nothing fancy, nothing expensive. If you wanted to go further and you were doing a lot of green screen, Elgato do a really nice pull-up screen, and they do a pull-down screen as well, so you don't have to be setting all this up all the time. But we're interested in what kind of quality and image we get out of this. I'm going to come back to that in a minute because that's where our background is. So we're in Ecamm Live. This is the image coming in. Yes, we've got a gap at the edge here that the green screen isn't covering the whole thing. It doesn't need to. It's totally fine. It's as close as this to me, so literally an arm's length behind me, and you can see I think this is probably 5-6 foot. It would be if I stretched this out. Under camera effects in Ecamm, I can select which camera I've got, and I can tick here on Greenscreen. I'll turn that off for a second. And then what I can do is bring in any background I want behind this, and straight away I'm instantly transformed. Now, I would start with something like this white wall first of all, because you're probably going to find that this fade level down here needs adjusting. And so as I adjust that fade level, you see it's just affecting the edge. You know, how accurate is it trying to get? We don't want to go too much because I start losing hair, but I want to go enough that I've lost that green edge to me there. So probably about there, and in my case this is 60 there on the fade level. Now there's a great little tick down here, so notice that at both of these edges the green screen doesn't go to the edge, and this says here mask edges, and when I tick this it pushes my green screen all the way to the end. How cool is that? Now I can choose images, so there are some images that are in here, and something like home office here actually looks really nice, doesn't it? I think that's pretty believable. What did it say? Modern home, did that say? So you can use some of the defaults that are right here inside of Ecamm. I can also, with this image that I've put in here, click blur background, and look at that. From as it is there, I can take that right up. That looks a little bit too fake, but just ever so slightly blurring that background. Again, where are we going? I'm on about 10 there. Potentially just makes that look a little bit more believable, that there's some distance between me and this background. Do keep in mind that your hands are going to disappear when they get to the edge of that green screen. And what I was just showing you earlier is I found a very nice background, and what I can do, it says select backdrop here, choose a file. I can actually just drop straight on top of that. So I've got one on my desktop that I can just drop straight onto there, and it replaces that. Now I do like this backdrop. It's an Adobe one. I'm not saying that because I'm any kind of affiliate. I just dropped this in and I thought that looks good. And actually this one was next to it. I haven't tried this one yet. Yeah, not bad. I think if you're trying to create something here and get away with having no space behind you as a real last resort, I think green screen, popping something like this up does a really good job. And so yes, we're in Ecamm right now. If you're not familiar with Ecamm, I could now go back into that Zoom meeting and I would select Ecamm's virtual camera, and it will pull this out into Zoom rather than the way Zoom handles it. You see how much better that is around my head with this than it was when Zoom was trying to do it. So I just want to show you this. I just typed into Google virtual backgrounds, office background for green screen, and this is this. As I'm scrolling down, I thought that looks really nice, and so this is from Adobe. I will put a link to this in the description if you're interested, and you've got a few different options of backgrounds on there. Ironically, I can't even see this one. And I'm not quite sure. Look, you get some images with a free trial. So you could do that, and you could absolutely then get some free images out of this. But I just wanted to show you that. I will put a link to these in the description. But and then I can just go back here to recent ones. I like this one. I think that could look really good. If you turned up on a call like this with a customer, I don't particularly think anyone would question that, and cuts out so well inside of Ecamm. The background is the right angle. This is where you see a lot of people go wrong. You know, they've got a picture and the sofa's up here and it just looks like they're laying on the floor, or there's an angle looking down. You do need to try some of these backgrounds on and just say, does that feel like I'm actually there or not? But whatever suits you, whatever works for you, I think that is a great result. So yeah, absolutely, you can use this OBSBOT Tiny 2 camera with a green screen behind you. I always would recommend, if you can build out a nice background behind you, please do that. It looks way more authentic and people can spot it. But if you really don't have an option for that and you're stuck, or maybe you're in a temporary situation, to be able to just pop up a green screen behind you and get a view like this, I think is an absolute winner. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. We've got more content like this coming. And talking of more content, I did mention earlier that I'd show you how we use this OBSBOT camera inside this Elgato prompter right now, and you can head over and we'll jump into that video next. Or if you want to watch my review video on this PTZ camera, then I'll link to that one down there. All right, I'll see you in one of those videos.